you've already mentioned that this all-powerful God, if we're talking about Yahweh or someone else, is no one else, is actually Enlil in disguise. You've already kind of mentioned that. So this kind of takes me to a controversy which has recently emerged, and it seemed to be that this controversy emerged after you had announced that you had actually met with Enki. That Enki has returned. So maybe firstly, just explain the return of Enki. We know that in October of 2021, the Cedars return. So when did Enki return, and then when did you actually get to meet him?
Well, he returned probably end of the summer, in the summer 2021, because early September 2021, he manifested to me, he made contact with me. It was a very life-changing event because I was very impressed. That's not something that happens in a million lives. And he said that he was back. He was back to see his children rise and free themselves from slavery. And he was back to assist them and bring a gift, which I knew about it later. So that happened in September 2021. He was just back, so he may have been back in the summer. So that's when I met him. Michael, Enki and Lil and Anunnaki has always fascinated our cultures and our societies, and there's a lot of books been written about it, a lot of videos and people talking about it. But it was like we were talking about other stuff, like the pyramids, and and it was part of the great mysteries of the past of humanity, the ancient astronauts theories, and but at the moment I said I met Enki, things changed. Suddenly everyone was talking about him in negative. Suddenly there was a mission to discredit Enki. Not me, it's all aimed at Enki. And this is quite incredible to observe that there is, since the moment I have announced it, that the Dark Ones freaked out. It really did, and they are. Because they are not happy that he's back, because he's bringing something to help us and to empower us that is quite remarkable.
Well, I think that this is very interesting that soon after you began talking about Enki returning, and then you talk about meeting Enki several times, and that's in your book, in the Cedars. So that's very significant that you discuss that all of these narratives just popped out of nowhere, saying that Enki was evil and that he was here as part of a deceptive agenda, and that was kind of really puzzling to me, because it has actually no basis in fact or in history. Because when you look at the historical texts of the Sumerian texts, it's like the Atrahasis, for example, or the Enuma Elish, or the Eridu Genesis. These texts that these all describe Enki as being the positive Anunnaki that had created humans and that actually protected humans and prevented them from being wiped out during the Great Flood, and that was Enlil that was trying to wipe out humanity. Now, all of a sudden, we have these narratives from people saying, well, I'm channeling creator source, or I'm getting a download, and Enki is evil, and Enlil is the good guy. And it's just like, well, what's the historical fact here? I mean, you're just using subjective sources, which is, your alleged channeling with divine creator. Maybe these people are good some of the time, maybe your downloads are good some of the time, but if you suddenly start using that as a kind of infallible absolute source, I have to say, well, I'm sorry, you're deluded. The historical texts are quite clear. Enki was the positive Anunnaki scientist that played a role in humanity's creation and protecting humanity. And Enlil was the one that wanted humans to just be slaves, and then when he didn't get his way, he just wanted to wipe them out. That's historical facts. So, these historical revisionist attempts by these people, I mean, to me, I look at it all in the way it's all coordinated, and I say, well, this is a psyop. This is a psyop, and it's directed at the return of Enki, and I think it's directed at you.
Yes, because I happen to be he's a mystery at the moment, But Michael, you can kill the emissary, you can't stop the message. But what I want to say, it's very simple. Go back to the ancient text, and what all the ancient texts say, that Enki was a geneticist, okay? They never say Enlil was a geneticist. Enki was a geneticist. His name, Ea, means water. He's linked to water, the waters of creation, the liquid of the womb, the amniotic gel in which the fetuses are grown, That's who he is. And that's undeniable. All the ancient texts say that. Now, what the ancient texts say as well, but not only in Sumer, in a lot of other cultures, that a geneticist, a creator of humanity, had done such a good job, and he empowered them. We have the tree of knowledge with the apple of knowledge, he gave back to humans, he activated their potential, okay? But then there was someone else, with Enlil, who wasn't happy with that and wanted to wipe out humanity and take away from them their hopes, their strength, their, and they want to take them. Enlil wants to take them down. So there's a geneticist who enhances humans, and there's another one who's not happy with that and wants to destroy all the humans because he wants humans only as slaves. That's as simple as that.
There was a book written in 2013 by an author, Maximilian Lafayette, and the title of that book was 2022, What Will Happen to Us When the Anunnaki Return to Earth in 2022? So that was written nearly 10 years ago by Maximilian Lafayette, and I've had a little bit to do with him. I've communicated with him in the past, and I always felt that was kind of almost like a pseudonym for a group of people associated with the military intelligence community. So what that tells me is that back in 2013, Lafayette and the military intelligence community knew that the Anunnaki would return at this time in 2022, and we're right in the middle of that. So they knew that he would return. So that means that the military intelligence community and the bloodline families knew this. And so they had plenty of time to prepare their plans, whether they were to kind of like accept the Anunnaki and Enki, or whether to oppose them, and whether to, as we're seeing right now, kind of like defame Enki and try and rewrite history and make him out to be the evil Anunnaki returning. To me, this book shows that the military intelligence community knew that the Anunnaki were returning, and we are right in the middle of this, and the same power struggle between the Enlil faction and the Enki faction is occurring right now.
Yes, and I can really observe that. When these people act by fear, because if they knew that, it's because they have, I believe, time looking or looking glass devices. These people know what may happen, and there's also all these ancient predictions from all the myths. The good ones are coming back. It's intergalactic confederation, it's Enlil and his to celebrate the liberation of humanity. Enki loved humanity. He saw the potential. He's a scientist. He's all about excited about finding stuff, you know, and the finding out of who the humans of Earth are. He couldn't stand to know them being used as slaves. That wasn't right. Not these ones, you know. So he's been fighting for that, and now he's coming back because he's happy, because we are setting ourselves free, and then he can bring something that will not fall in the wrong hands, and this thing will heal all the alterations that have been made on the human genome, on locking the strands of DNA, or locking everything to maintain us as dumb and slaves. He's bringing something to repair that. And the Dark Ones, the Enlil faction, they certainly do not want this to happen. So they want people to think that anything that comes from Enki is evil. They try that, but you know, I don't think it will work. It's just chatter.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of chatter out there trying to kind of poison the well, if you like. And I mean, that's very interesting. I mean, that gift that Enki is bringing back. I mean, when I read that in your book, The Cedars, I thought, wow, this is quite amazing, and that makes a lot of sense. That if Enki did play the role of helping create modern humans with this incredible potential, that he would have the original DNA, if you like, or the Adamic DNA. That's and that this would be something that he could well bring back and help revert all of the alterations that have happened over many centuries of changes and poisoning of human DNA, or deprivation of human DNA.
Yes, and this is exactly the Grail. He said it. He said the Grail. What is the Grail? Is the sacred blood of Christ. Is the sacred blood of Enki's royal bloodline. Is the Adamic DNA, and what Enki is bringing back, the Grail, the blood of Jesus, his own blood. It's in fact the original moment when he hybridized himself, he put his own DNA into this primitive human. That moment, that's the template. And that's what he's bringing back, this genetic template. And at that moment, when he did that, the humans of Earth weren't altered in any ways. You know, after the Anunnakis started to, Enlil started to alter, and the reptilians and the Greys, they all had their go with altering human DNAs down. But before all that happened, Enki had the purest template, and he kept it, and he brought it with him. Of course, the Intergalactic Confederation has it as well. And I found that very interesting, because I had the privilege to have 2 hours conversation with Enki. And I said to him, why is it you who are bringing it? Because I believe the Intergalactic Confederation, the Cedars group especially, has a database, data bank, where there is the whole DNA of everything that is alive in many galaxies. So they surely have it. Why didn't they bring it back earlier? And Enki answered that to me. He said, for 2 reasons: because the Dark Ones in power need to be neutralized before. It's always the same story. Good technology, good thing must not fall into the wrong hands. But also because it's a great universal law. It's a circle closed. Anunnaki said, my people did it. So it needs to be my people who repairs it. So Enlil started the degradation of the human genome. Enki brings back the original Adamic DNA to repair this. So it's already being implemented in medical technology. They just wait that the dark ones on Earth are not in power anymore, that anyone who wishes so will be able to access to this technology and get this repair. It will not be done in one session, you know, as I've been explained. It's always genetic changes or repairs. It's progressive, not to be a shock to the humans and also the consciousness, because DNA is also embedded with a certain evolution of consciousness. So but it will be available soon. And they don't want that, the dark ones.